Hello and welcome to a new series that I like to call Life in Equestria. In this series, another MLP analyst and I will discuss how certain aspects of equestrian life work, like education, religion, politics, sports, etc. Today's topic is technology, and here to help me, please welcome critically acclaimed analyst, Dr. Wolf.
Greetings, Nick. Glad to be here. You had come to me a few weeks ago with some intriguing discussion on the various technologies we see in Equestria and how they differ from the world we live in. I must admit, I've been curious about this topic as well, so this should prove to be interesting.
Absolutely, especially considering that most people consider Equestria to be a place that's mostly void of technology. But if you look a little closer, you might be surprised to realize that Equestria is a surprisingly industrialized place. Now, first off, I personally don't think that Equestria is trying to emulate any specific period in human history, since the level of technology is all over the place. For example, there are video games, but there aren't any televisions. Not even sure how that's possible. Still though, there's hydroelectric dams, industrial construction equipment, advanced sound equipment, heart monitors, and whatever the heck is in Twilight's basement. And that's just in Ponyville, a town that's established as being very rural.
I think the fact that magic and flight exists in Equestria could explain why certain bits of technology seem to be non-existent. For example, there's no weapons in Equestria that are more advanced than simple spears. But it'd probably be easier to use magic to subdue or defeat an enemy than with advanced weaponry. Most likely the spears would be for simple decoration purposes, similar to how some soldiers used to carry flags into battle.
Perhaps the spears are just a last resort weapon, just in case their horns or wings get injured. And maybe it's the full-time weapon for an Earth Pony Guard, if they exist. And before anyone says that the reason there are no guns in Equestria is because Hasbro doesn't want to show that kind of stuff, well, yeah, you're probably right, but that's not a good enough canonical explanation for me.
Also, the fact that a third of the population is capable of flight might explain why there aren't any vehicles more advanced than trains, with the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy being the possible exception. Being able to simply fly to a destination is quicker, safer, and cheaper than actually taking a vehicle there. And even if an Earth Pony or a unicorn needs to fly to a location, a Pegasus-drawn carriage would probably still be the fastest option, since a Pegasus can fly faster than a train can go. You wouldn't even need cars or planes to carry heavy objects, since 4 Pegasi were able to carry the presumably very heavy Discord statue.
I would say there are at least 4 major innovations that exist in our world that doesn't exist in Equestria. Motorized vehicles, which we already went over, the internet, televisions, and phones. For the last 3, I think the reason why those don't exist is because there's no need for it, at least in terms of using those things for entertainment purposes. To me, Equestria represents an idealized world that puts an emphasis on getting out and making friends. They don't need TV or the internet to have fun, they have friendship. Stuff like get-togethers with board games, music, good food, and friends is enough to entertain the ponies.
And from a functional standpoint, they still don't need those things because, once again, they have magic. With a little magic, a pony can get a message to someone else nearly instantaneously, and a Pegasus or an Earth Pony can go to a post office and get a message to someone very quickly.
I guess the mail service only sends larger packages in junk mail.
I also think that there'd have to be some technology specifically made to restrict the use of magic and wings by unicorns and Pegasi that shouldn't be able to use them. Like, for example, the incredibly gifted Cake Twins. I'm sure their parents would have to have taken quite a few measures around the house to keep their children from getting into things they shouldn't.
But if the cakes had such measures, how are the babies still able to overwhelm Pinky?
I can only guess that before that point, neither of the Cake Twins had demonstrated such gifts. I suppose that makes Pinky particularly unlucky in that situation, given that they both discovered their talents on the same night when she happened to be in charge. But afterwards, I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Cake would have been given a run for their money trying to keep up with these two, and probably have to make use of some interesting restraining devices to keep their twins from running amok.
Maybe that's why that was a story in the full free press in Ponyville Confidential. Maybe those two aren't like regular babies and they were trashing the place they were at, overwhelming their parents.
Makes sense to me. I'm sure that there would be all kinds of technologies and other ingenuities that only exist in Equestria because of the unique nature for raising little ponies that can fly or use magic.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll get a better look at those technologies as the series goes on. Well, Doctor, do you have any more ideas that you want to bring up before we end this video?
I'm sure that we could discuss many other little things we see here and there throughout the show, but I feel that we've gotten through enough to start some good discussion in the comments. Thank you kindly for having me over here, Nick. It's always good to have some added perspective on these topics.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Doc. And thank you guys for watching this. If you have any additional input, leave a message down in the comments and I'll try to respond to as many as I can. See y'all later.